is Friday, March 21st, I believe, in Minneapolis. We got some overnight snow. Figured we haven't had much of that this year, so I'd make a point to come out for a walk and show everybody the snowy scenes in Minneapolis. So let's go for a quick walk and see what we see. Thanks for coming along. We are coming towards the Stone Arch Bridge, which will be closing here in a couple weeks. On April 15th, they're gonna start a 2-year project to renovate the bridge, closing it about halfway through. And so you won't be able to cross completely across the bridge, I think, until 2025 or late 2025. Yeah, that's starting in about 3-4 weeks here. Should enjoy the time when we can cross the bridge for now. They're gonna make some renovations to the bridge, but I heard that they are not gonna renovate the path. It's more to the structural part below. We'll be starting April 15th. I think at least half of the bridge will be open at all times, so you can at least come out and get some views of the Mississippi River. We'll be sure to check out what it looks like when they do that. Hey Thomas, hope you're having a good morning. It says, how is the temp right there right now? It's fine. I think probably mid-30s, maybe 40. Not too bad at all. I believe it's supposed, I looked at the forecast for the next week or so, and I think there's some lows in like the teens, lows of 15 or so sometime coming up, and the highs are mid-40s in like the 10-day, so nothing too extreme. I'm ready for a little warmer weather, but I think these days in the 30s are not too bad. Over the weekend, I think we've got a pretty big storm coming in. I think Sunday it's supposed to get quite a bit of snow. I think the forecast for last night was something like 6 inches or so, and I don't think we got nearly that in Minneapolis. Let's see. We got a couple inches. Yeah, so in the interim we can cross. There is to the south, just south of the 35W bridge right here, there's another bridge that you can use to cross. That's probably a half-mile down river. And then even closer is the Central Avenue Bridge that you can see up here. That's both a pedestrian and vehicle bridge, but I think that's going to be the main crossing point. That was under renovation for a little over 1.5 years, and that just opened up last October. So that'll probably be the preferred crossing method while that's closed. And then the Hennepin Bridge, which is the next one up. So still options to get across the river, but not this, none of them are red like this one, Stone Arch, so not quite the same. When I was in Atlanta last week, I saw a photo that a Minneapolis photographer took on this bridge. Apparently it was in the 70s one of those days, and it was shoulder to shoulder here on the Stone Arch Bridge. So hoping we can get at least one of those days in before they close it, but not sure. Looking at those 40s. We'll see. district up ahead and then downtown. I think I'll go more into downtown today. Seems to be the preferred area. Yeah, very comfortable day out actually. Hello Jeffrey, good morning. Did you think you're a little southwest of here slightly? Or southeast? Did you get any good snow out there? We got a few inches here in Minneapolis. Hopefully, they say we might get a lot on Sunday. Hopefully we do. I did hear that we get a lot on Sunday and then maybe rain on Monday, which could make for a pretty gross situation, but we will see. Hopefully if we can get some heavy snow on Sunday, I can come out and walk while it's actually snowing. It was mostly overnight last night, so wasn't able to get out. Had some other stuff going on. And then by the time I got out this morning, it stopped actively snowing. See, we got this guy still out on his bike, not even with the snow tires. Year round. About 3 inches there. Not bad, not bad. Up at the falls, and Central Avenue Bridge that we'll be using in the future because the Stone Arch Bridge here is closing in 3 or 4 weeks or so for a 2-year renovation. I do like that Central Avenue Bridge. It's nice. I do like that it's reopened, but the Stone Arch Bridge here is definitely the most pleasant crossing. I think the views are the best. It's got that little curve to it. And it's got the stone arches. See, my favorite thing about the Stone Arch Bridge is the stone arches. Who would have thought? It's the good part. Wonder how that's gonna affect the ice cream truck and the little vendors that step up out here during the summer. What their sales will look like. So it could bring a decrease in foot traffic, or maybe more with the people who are having to turn back halfway through. We'll see. I saw that ice cream truck when we were walking over here last summer. It looked pretty good. I don't know if I'll be able to make it the whole summer without trying it. Kind of got a sweet tooth, bit of an ice cream guy. I was told that they're townhomes. 11 on the water to the south. I was at my desk the other day with one of my coworkers. We're trying to find the most expensive apartments we could find on the real estate listings in downtown Minneapolis. And I think most expensive was in RBC Gateway, and I think the second was there in 11 on the water. Which I saw on Twitter the other day that their original plan was 2 smaller towers that looked similar to that down in East, kind of by the Galleria. So I'm glad that they were able to put that tower up there and get that approved and get that built. It's definitely a cool addition to the river. I hope the people who have moved in there are enjoying it so far over the last year. Now that we've crossed over the Mill District, we're in the area crossed over the Stone Arch Bridge, we're now in the Mill District, which is this area kind of next to the river before you get to Washington Avenue, before you get to downtown. I would consider the Mill District part of downtown, but not necessarily the same. Similar. If you called it downtown, I wouldn't argue. On the left, we have the McPhail Music Center, which I've always looked at, thought was kind of a cool building. It's got that cool architecture style. That curvature kind of reminds me of like the Wiseman and that Frank Gehry style. And someone was telling me that one of the architects who worked on the building actually worked underneath Gehry for a short period of time, if I remember correctly. That could be inaccurate, so if it is, I hope someone will correct me in the comments. But yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting, what I believe to be a fact. You see the clear similarities of the design elements there. Old depot, the old train station, back when Mill City used to be a big train hub and have all the trains coming in and out of the city with all those grains and flour and whatever they were making here along the river. Getting timber during the summer. Now that industry has moved a bit, no longer right next to the river. This is a hotel and event space. We are at Washington and 5th Avenue right. South Washington and South 5th. Trying to make a point to announce street corners and locations a bit more, so people looking to get oriented can have a better understanding of where in Minneapolis they are. If you want to look on a map, follow along there, try to find where I'm going to. that's how you choose to spend your time. Have a couple windows open, I guess. The Minneapolis Fire Department Station number 1. Line down to Burnsville, your rapid transit station. I don't know what that other bus is. Lots of rapid transit lines in the city that I think are working pretty well. I took the orange line a few weeks back. Typically when I ride the bus it's a different one, but I took the orange line a few weeks back and that was a super quick. So it goes right along the freeway there, super fast to get you downtown. Thomas says, any chance you can pass by 121 Washington, the crossings? I sure missed that place. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a couple blocks up ahead. Why not? I like that building. I think inside there is, you got Skyway Walk and the sandwich place. What's the sandwich place called? It's pretty good. One of the better sandwiches in the city, or at least in downtown. We're at 4th and 3rd, South 3rd Street and 4th Ave. This is the press box, like a bail bond. I think vacant as long as I've lived here. Prime spot for redevelopment. I'm shocked that it's sat for this long, but I can't imagine it stays too long before someone comes up with a cool idea of something to put there. So this building right here is the behind the glass one. That's the 121 Washington that we are talking about. We'll take a look at in a few minutes. It's the Flower Exchange. I want to go take a look at City Hall first. Post office, or currently a post office. Some really cool details on the building. Oh, the grain exchange is what it used to be. Now it's the post office. Minneapolis City Hall. weird spots. Always weird about recording in this area because there's, the detention center is right here. So you got the jail, courthouse. You never know what people are going through, and not the place that people always want to be recorded near. So try to be respectful in this area, just in case someone's going through something that they don't want to be on camera during. Yeah, they had, since 2020, there was a temporary fence along here that really just drove me nuts. I thought it was so hideous, but it looks like they've gotten rid of that within the last few months and now put in a more permanent fence. I don't know if they're keeping people in or keeping people out or what, but either way, they got that set up now. Light rail train. This is SPS Tower here that we're looking directly at. Train came pretty quickly. Train going to downtown Minneapolis from the Mall of America, goes down to Target Field. Currently they are working to extend that line to the north through North Minneapolis up to a northern suburb, extending the green line, the St. Paul line, out to the west, the western suburbs, which those projects have just been hiccup after hiccup after hiccup. Very frustrating situation, I think, for everybody involved. I think the most recent news that came out regarding that Green Line extension is one of the parts in western Minneapolis, kind of by the chain of lakes that they're looking to go through. There's a freight rail that goes through a couple times a day too, and for safety purposes they wanted that track to be 25 feet from the light rail track, and I think it came in at 24 feet. About 7 inches short of what their promise was for safety. They have all the people in the neighborhood who knows if they're using that as leverage because they don't want the trains at all, or if they're using that because they do have safety concerns. Either way, not meeting the safety standards that they set out. I think there was a news story on that last night where they went public with it. They just made it a couple city meetings and Metropolitan managers the transit system talking about that, I think back in December or January, I saw them saying it. And then just last night it aired on one of the local television news channels. They did an interview with both the resident who had measured it out and the people at the Metropolitan Council. Doesn't seem to be a straight answer on what the plan is moving forward with that, so not super promising. I think the Metropolitan Council, which is they manage the light rail and all that, I think they're trying to brush it off and make it look like not a big deal. Yeah, very hard to tell what concerns are actual concerns and what are just people who don't want the train station by their house. So we're here on 5th Street, which is the light rail corridor in Minneapolis. Line, which is the one that would be going to that extension that I was just speaking of. Downtown St. Paul, currently ending at Target Field. But for a city of its size, the Minneapolis train system is not very robust. Decent bus system, decent rapid bus system, but only 2 train lines at the moment. Pretty limited reach. The other transportation related news in Minneapolis is you have Uber and Lyft threatening to leave the city. I believe one of them is threatening to leave the entire state as a whole. So recently the city council passed a minimum wage measure in Minneapolis a few years back, and then they felt that the pay that Uber and Lyft drivers were getting did not meet that minimum wage ordinance, so they made some custom rules for Uber and Lyft in the way that their contractors can be paid that they felt would meet within those standards. And Uber and Lyft is saying, one of them saying that they're going to leave the entire state, the other saying they're just going to leave the city. They're saying that because of those costs, they're not going to be able to operate in Minneapolis. Personally, I have not looked at the data enough to know where their current pay is and where that falls in relation to what they're looking to see. I don't really use those apps much. A couple questions I would have related to that would be, when you're riding on those, do you currently see how much the driver gets paid? Like if I take a 5-minute ride, can I see that the driver got $5, $10, $1, whatever their pay was, just so that the riders can have an understanding of what they're getting? And 2, if I'm Uber or Lyft and one of those companies is talking about leaving the city, I hope the other one stops and I can take advantage of that market, because if Uber leaves and Lyft decides to stay, they can raise their prices a little bit to cover those costs that the city council is asking them to cover, which obviously gets pushed on to the consumer. You don't often see businesses take that cut to themselves, but that cost would get passed on to the consumer. But they would be the sole rideshare platform in the city. Like, there's obviously smaller ones, but that one's gonna be, if one of those 2 stays and the other leaves, they're gonna get so much business. I don't see how at least one of them doesn't try to make it work, but we'll see. So here is the Commerce at the Crossings that Thomas was talking about. The residential building here on Washington and 2nd Ave. Typically, downtown Minneapolis avenues are going east-west, streets are going north-south, I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, here's that Commerce at the Crossing building. And the Wells Fargo Operations Center, which is marked for demolition. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think Uber and Lyft will leave Minneapolis? Do you think that they're going to pass up operating in a metropolitan area like this? Do you think they're bluffing? Do you think the city council's gone too far? Who knows? Let me know. It's always interesting to hear other opinions on that. Those are, you know, definitely not my specialty or my forte because I don't use those apps too much. I do have a car, bike, and I have a bus system that I tend to use. And there is that 121 Washington Avenue South entrance. Automatic door, but I don't think it opens. This is one of those corners that is going to look likely very different in the coming years as this building comes down and they put that new Washington Yards project up. Initially they were calling it Harmonia. They rebranded the project within the last few months. Let's see if they updated the sign that they have over here. Minneapolis police. People on the internet will tell you they don't exist. I will tell you they do. Because I see them right there. Oh yeah, so they haven't updated this yet. So this is the old concept, Harmonia. They've updated that with a new one called Washington Yards. Similar mixed-use tower idea with, I think, a local chef that's going to have a nice restaurant in there. Excited to see what happens with that. Yeah, I think they said the initial plan was to start demolition last summer, if I remember correctly, but obviously that didn't play out. The raising interest rates definitely caused some issues for borrowing money and building new projects, so it's been a little bit more difficult. We went from seeing a few large cranes throughout Minneapolis to now we do not have so many, but I think that'll come back. I'm a believer. Very interested to see what the city does with this old Northwestern building that we're looking to the right that has those kind of unique columns. Very cool building, I think often used in Minneapolis design. Like when you see images of downtown Minneapolis, it's oftentimes included in part of that core brand. But it's a completely vacant building right now. So, very interested to see what gets done with that. It used to be Voya Financial, which has moved into Marquette here. Thomas. I was trying to remember what the sandwich place that's inside that 121 Washington place is called. It is Dagwood's. Dagwood's? Something like that. And then there's a bar in that I used to go to these like poetry nights at. And I think there they had sandwiches that they called Dagos, D-A-G-O, and it was like some sandwich if I remember correctly. That was years ago. Dagos and Dogwoods. It'd be cool if they could find a way to turn this building into some sort of space that the public can enjoy in some extent. Even if it's just like a ground level cafe with offices above. I think you have such a unique building in such a cool part of the city that it would be valuable to get limits. Here on the left, I guess straight ahead, is the RBC Gateway. RBC Gateway and Four Seasons, both hotel and residences. This is when me and my coworker were looking at luxury condos in Minneapolis. I think the most expensive we could find in a current public listing was in there for I believe about $6 million. This is on like the 34th or 35th floor. The Mara restaurant in there is supposed to be nice. And they have a rooftop bar there that I've been meaning to go to a happy hour at sometime. We are on Nicollet Mall. The spot we're at here is where they have I think they try to do events and things in this area during the summer. They have the Taste of Minnesota Festival that they started again last year. It was in the parking lot here. It was the main stage. Last year, I believe it was Third Eye Blind. Big Boy from Outkast. Motion City soundtrack, Uncle Cracker, a couple musicians from the many that played there last year. This year's Food and Music Festival, I think is like, is it Martina McBride and Counting Crows, if I remember correctly? I don't know. Or that might be, that could be the Basilica Festival. There's all these music festivals that were announced over the last couple months, none of which honestly stood out to me from a lineup-wise perspective, but fun events nonetheless. So we're here on the right before a very cool location. All sorts of fun stuff in there. There's like a record room where you can rent it out for an hour. It's not rent, but reserve it for an hour at a time and sit in there and listen to the Minneapolis Library's record collection. Kind of cool space in there, lots of kid stuff, a little museum in there, all sorts of things. Do have issues with building public seating and then putting a fence around it. Kind of not the ideal thing for your city planning, but people are going to do what they're going to do. I would hope that gets changed soon. But this is the Hennepin County Central Library. I was there on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Earlier this week I went and saw a reading from a couple authors that I really enjoy. Local author Luis Erdrich, who I think wrote a few really good books, but she wrote a book called The Sentence, which I think people who lived in the Twin Cities around 2020 and during all the riots and all that, I think it's a good read for people who lived through that. Kind of takes you back to that time. Interesting perspective on that, as well as like these indigenous issues tied into it. And she was hosting, she owns Birch Bark Books, which is a wonderful bookstore here in the Twin Cities, and she was hosting an author from Oakland, Tommy Orange, who I really like too. He wrote this book called There, which is placed between Oklahoma City and Oakland, and it goes through these different timelines and different stories of these different people and how their stories kind of converge at this event. Just similar issues, and very good books. Both great writers, both great storytellers. Highly recommend Louise Erdrich and Tommy Orange. Tommy Orange was promoting his new book, which is called Wandering Stars, which I was able to pick up a copy and started reading a few days back. I'm enjoying so far. So we're back here at 5th Street South. Remember what I was saying. Oh, it was right here. What's in here? It's the I think the dollar store there. Thomas says the street life downtown seems almost non-existent from how I remembered. Is it at least slowly coming back? Is there shops and restaurants that are still open? Street level, no. And it seems like everything street level is like you have a Five Guys right there, and the entrance from the street is closed off. It's like the businesses around here have worked so hard to keep the people along Nicollet Mall outside of their stores that they've made it to where it just looks like a ghost town. You go up in the Skyway and there's cafes and pizza places and restaurants up there, but it's I was actually reading this book last night about I think his name's Jeff Speck is the writer, about downtowns and how there's like these 4 elements that he believes we should have in our downtowns, where it has to be, walkable, safe, inviting, and there has to be a reason to be there. And you think, we have our office spaces around here, but outside of that, like, simply put, like, we don't have street level cafes. There's not chairs and patios with people sitting out outside drinking coffee. It seems like we have, I understand it's cold here much of the year, but it seems like we have pivoted away from giving people a space to be. You look at things like outside of that library where we have all that seating, a nice public space where, me and a friend could go grab a cup of coffee and hang out and talk for a few hours, or take a little break between our offices and congregate there. But they've closed it off because I don't know if it was what specific type of person was there that they didn't want there, but clearly there were people hanging out there that they didn't want there, whoever is managing that. And they decided that instead of managing the people that were there and managing the activity, that they would rather just close off the space entirely, which puts us in these situations like you see now where the downtown street scenes are just, you know, pretty weak. You go around here, I mean, if we come back out here at 7 p.m. tonight, it is going to be hopping. There's a basketball game, you got your weekend theater shows along Hennepin, but that Nicollet Mall, the Nicollet Mall that you used to see in the 80s, 90s, that you see on like the Mary Tyler Moore show, I think that's just done. I don't think it's coming back. There was just a coffee shop that just announced inside of the Dayton project there, a new location. This was actually where I was trying to walk to, was this Tom's Watch Bar, because I heard there was like college basketball today, and I was wondering if there would be people out watching that basketball. They're in their office. Pretty slow. You do have restaurants downtown, there's still shops. There's stuff in the Skyway, I guess. But for street level, we've got some serious problems. And Thomas says, what's your view on the violent crime rate downtown? Do you feel it's still safe at least to walk in the gray area? Downtown, I think, so you see the notorious videos outside of these bars on Hennepin at 2 in the morning. You see people drunk fighting with each other. You see a couple people who get into unfortunately at 2 in the morning they get into like a gunfight or something, which is absolutely unacceptable. But the police chief just came out last week and was like, crime downtown is pretty easy for us because every corner we got camera. Everywhere you look around here, everything's being recorded and you're on camera. So that's not going to help you if you get shot. If you get shot, you're dead. But that does make it so that when things do happen downtown, which shootings are not super common downtown, but more of the like if someone tried to, you know, rob me of my phone while I'm walking, it's highly likely that they would be able to track that person down if they found, like if it was, you know, they threaten you with a weapon, they could track that person down. Just because it's so monitored, it's such a high profile area. I would say I don't really feel unsafe ever downtown. There are like certain bus stops that I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad seeing people using drugs and clearly struggling on that specific bus stop, on that specific corner. But downtown as a whole, I wouldn't think twice about it. Like, I'm also not the type of person to be at a bar at 2 in the morning, but yeah, I remember those videos from about a year ago, and hopefully we don't see those again this year, where you have people standing outside the bars at 2 a.m. and getting into big fights. Hate to see that stuff. Yeah, overall, I think downtown is one of the safer parts of the city. I think the spots where, you know, you hear about some of the carjackings and some of the more violent crime that we do hear about in the city, I don't think that stuff happens as much downtown, where that's not to say you're completely safe, but I think safety in general, like, you're always at risk. It's just wrong place, wrong time, and what the city is doing to try to prevent it from happening on future occasions. But downtown is not the place that I would run from for in terms of safety. But I will say, when you walk through Nicollet Mall and there's nobody out there, and like, it can be a bit uncomfortable when you're the only one on the street in the middle of the night. You're like, who's gonna come around this corner? What's up ahead? And I think that's part of why you get that eerie feel of discomfort when walking through downtown sometimes. because there's, you know, there is safety in numbers, right? The more people we have, the more people around, the more you feel safe, the more you feel like someone's gonna step up if something happens. I'm such a sucker for shots of like the train pulling away, especially with that Bob Dylan mural back there. But yeah, I mean, in short, I would not have any major concerns about crime and safety downtown. It's unfortunately it does happen, but I think there are other neighborhoods that I would be more concerned about that in, and as a whole, I think a lot of the crime in this city is more, as a whole, targeted than people care to admit when it comes to like the really violent stuff. But yeah, not my favorite subject. So we have someone here saying, greetings from Kazakhstan. Hey, beautiful town. Thank you. I hope you're having a great day in Kazakhstan. Having a great day in Minneapolis. We got a little snow overnight. It's been a very calm winter for us here, so I wanted to go for a walk around the city a little bit and get outside. I was up working early today, so I thought I could sneak out for a little bit. My boss does know about the YouTube channel, so if I get back to work and she's pinging me, hey, I saw you were live downtown, you're supposed to be working right now, just pray for me, okay? There we go. Katie Pad says, I'm near Marcy. Is the storm still hitting this weekend? From my understanding, yes. I believe we're supposed to get some snow Sunday into Monday. Here's the Fine Line Music Cafe. Nice smaller music venue. And then breakfast bar, which used to be a place called Foxfire Cafe. It was a music venue back in the 90s. But yeah, from my understanding, we're going to be getting some snow here over the weekend. I think varying reports, but some say 6 inches, some say a foot, some say 2 feet. We'll see. I don't think we're going to get 2 feet. I think that was one dramatic prediction. But I have breakfast planned Sunday morning. I have some friends coming over. So I hope the snow doesn't hit till later in the day so they can safely come over and we can have breakfast. Then they can enjoy their day and we can all get cooped up and warm. Actually, if it snows a bunch on Sunday, I'll probably come out and stream, so I will not be in trouble. Katie says she's got to do stuff Monday and is hoping that it skips town. Yeah, the thing I saw that was, I think, concerning was that they said it might rain or snow a bunch on Sunday and then rain on Monday, which that's the worst. Then it's just gross and mucky. Laura says, thought at first this was some kind of rerun from December or so. Nope, this is unfortunately fairly typical of March in Minnesota. haven't had a single year that we haven't had at least one rogue storm in March, if not more. As Prince says, sometimes it snows in April, right? I don't actually know that song, if I'm being honest. I just hear people reference it. It's one of those things where if you're living in Minnesota, people talk about that guy a lot and his music, which obviously very cool, very creative person. Gotta love him. But yeah, I don't know all the music that well. I just know that song is kind of a Minnesota theme. Four Seasons and RBC Gateway there on the right. RBC Wealth Management, Royal Bank of Canada. Oh, see, and when we talk about that, I think I was talking a bit back, I think it was Thomas, about how everything appears closed. You have this cafe right here, but they put these curtains up, so no one walking on Hennepin, are like one of our busiest foot traffic streets, so they blocked it all off so you can't see from Hennepin, but there's people in the cafe having a nice time. That design, these elements of closing the streets off from people, making everything look closed. Laura says, guess this is why my Swedish ancestors went to North Carolina. Yeah, I'll bet North Carolina seems pretty nice on days like this. I was in Atlanta a week or so back, and I was so excited to get out of Minnesota because it was going to be warm down there, and oh yeah, I'm going to go to the south, it's going to be nice, get out of this like kind of 50-degree weather we had for a long time. And then I went down there and it was like mid 50s, low 60s, but just super windy and cold. And I think one day when I was there, I got it to like 70, which was nice, but it was nicer here when I was gone. So that is the way the cookie crumbles. But soon enough, it'll be hot and nice out here. Oh, Katie said they watched the Skyway video the other day and it got them excited. They've been here most of their life and never been. Yeah, the Skyway is interesting. There's a, hello, Alex says greetings from Brazil. Hi Alex, hope things are going well in Brazil today. Yeah, the Skyway is a very interesting part of Minneapolis. I don't know if, I think I've said this a couple times, but many of the urbanists in Minnesota are not fans of the Skyway. They think that is kind of why our streets look so bare and empty, because everybody's up there in the Skyway. I say I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I'd be happy if we leaned into it and made like the Skyway is like the coolest place to be. You know, you have bars, restaurants, amenities, all sorts, anything you can think of inside that Skyway. So there's just fun stuff to do, and the place for people to hang out, I think, is the way to go with it, because we have like the world's longest Skyway, and if you're gonna have the world's longest or world's biggest or something, you might as well make it the best, right? But that's just my thoughts on the Skyway. And there is a brand new egg sandwich place that just opened up in there. It's like a Korean style egg sandwiches. I think it opened on either Monday or Tuesday. Oh, I'm so excited to try it. I was looking at these pictures online and like very difficult to describe, but those sandwiches look so good. They had a super long line out the door. I actually was considering today during this walk trying to go up there and find it just to see it, but I'm like a squirrel, very easily distracted, and found myself going other ways. This is the Gateway Park, this area right here. If I remember correctly, this area used to have all, 4 or 5 story buildings up until like the 1950s, 1960s or so. And then they tore it all down to try to change the vibe of the city. I think it was filled with a lot of the people working in the timber industry in the summer, and they would come stay in the hotels all winter and go wild and go party all winter, and a lot of drunkenness and activity that the city didn't think was good for what they wanted, and they tore down the district. What was once a historic area, or what would have became, I think, a historic area, is a nice little park. Art Deco building in front of us is the United States Post Office. Another spot that many people are believing should be redeveloped into something else. Maybe not the best land use, having a giant spot like a post office there, but I think it was probably built when there was a train station 3 blocks away. That way it was close to everything going through there, but now could be repurposed. Lots of cool ideas. When I was there in Atlanta, I saw this place. What was it called? The Ponce City Market, and they'd taken this old building and turned it into this super fun food hall and shopping, all sorts of cool stuff. Katie B says, this might be a weird take, but the antenna on the Porsche is disproportionately long, and I kind of can't stay in the building for that reason. Yeah, it is. I wish we were close enough to point it out, but yeah, it does have that super long spire that doesn't really fit. I like the Porsche. I think it's cool for what it is. I think it's a unique building. Definitely a central part of the skyline. But I see where you're coming from there. I think very, at that point, Fouché was ambitious enough to want the tallest building in the city, so gotta respect that, but maybe doesn't need the spire. You're right, a little shorter. Can we see it from here? No, it's gonna be on the other side there. Yeah, she says, you betcha. If it just like had a normal antenna, I'd be fine with it. Absolutely. I'm glad that it was at least preserved. I think the antenna was at some point a working radio or TV antenna. I'm not sure if it still is, if I remember correctly. But that might not even be the antenna that's on it now. But yeah, the guy Fouché was a some sort of commodities trader and made all this money in the commodities exchange, and then built that in 1928. It was completed in, I believe, 1928. And then we had the Great Depression and the stock market crash, and being a speculator, I think he lost all his money and ended up having to get rid of the building. But almost 100 years later now, we still have his name on the building, despite the fact that it was sold off very shortly after it was built. considered studying up on some of these buildings in Minneapolis and doing more short, focused 5-10 minute videos just on like a specific place with a few shots with more focus. So if you're like searching on YouTube or whatever, or searching Google like Fouché Tower Minneapolis, you can find that video and learn about Fouché Tower or IDS Center or Wells Fargo Tower, Stone Arch Bridge, or these different places in Minneapolis to where we have that, because the information's out there in these different architecture books. But I think putting it out onto the internet in a digestible form could be valuable for a lot of people. But I don't know if I have the energy for that project. Katie says, I really prefer the skyline view on I-35 South at the city limit. Oh yeah, from coming up from the south there, very cool. From there's like that, I think it's Franklin Avenue. There's a bridge there that you can see up into the city. Really nice views. Maybe not my favorite street in the city, but nice views. Right there by Electric Fields. Here on the right, you can see the Mississippi Lock and Dam. It used to be locks. It's like the Panama Canal locks, to where you can move the boats and barges down to lower water levels to get them down around the falls. But I think they shut those down a few years back. Time gets difficult when you're, I don't know, I'm not that old. Everything kind of blends together. Oh, Katie says, oh, sorry, I meant heading south, like when you leave Roseville and you climb that hill. Yeah, so coming from the north, when you take that curve, it's like 4 or 5 miles up this way. Actually, probably not 4 or 5, but like, yeah, you take that curve. Really nice views up there too. Yeah, always interesting up there. Kind of by the quarry. Yeah, so this is the Central 3rd Avenue Bridge that we were talking about a bit earlier, when we were saying that this is probably going to be the main pedestrian and bike bridge, while the Stone Arch Bridge is under construction starting April 15th. Not construction, but renovation. Yeah, they're going to start that project here 2 or 3 weeks. We will explore what that looks like when they close off part of it. Probably take walks across this bridge a lot while it's closed. Who knows what we'll be doing in 2 years when they open it again. So a lot can change. So we're crossing over the Mississippi River right now. Headed to the east side of the river, central Hennepin area. You see some of the old Pillsbury Best Flour sign, where there are these. You can see the Pillsbury A mill next to that Pillsbury Best Flour sign. These old mills that used to operate along the river. There's like this massive Marcy Homes historic neighborhood. This massive flour grinder thing in there. Super cool inside the A mill. And I think this is called Energy Center Park below us. a really nice place to walk around, especially during the summer. You go out there and you can see really good views. Katie says, sorry for being a bother. No one commenting is ever a bother unless you're like fighting with people or like trying to talk about like really political stuff or that. I don't really vibe with that, but always happy when there's people interacting in the comments. Katie says, sorry for being a bother, but is there a lot of ice outside? I've got to get groceries, but I don't want to. It's not bad. I think I'm wearing boots and I haven't really had any slipping. The roads are fine, at least in Minneapolis. I think if you're going to and from a grocery store, the grocery store will probably already be shoveled. Roads should be fine. If you're going to a garage, you probably won't even come into contact with snow. Otherwise, maybe in your driveway. But yeah, not bad at all. The little bit of snow we got, I don't know how long it's gonna last. It'll make it till Sunday when we might get it. I say that, but I've been thinking about going down these stairs over here. You know, those would be famous last words before I like slip down there. I don't know. Nope, let's let this guy go by. Well, maybe there's not ice here because he's salting it. I don't know. We are above St. Anthony, Maine. This is the Maine Cinema. Katie says they are parked in the street. Closest to them is the quarry. I don't like going there, so I may go to Roseville or St. Anthony. Yeah, the quarry is, we were talking earlier about, someone was asking if they feel downtown is a dangerous area. I would say downtown is probably safer than the quarry, but be fine, but it's just a little more elevated risk. But yeah, Roseville or St. Anthony, very nice options up there. I always feel like I want to show some of those like first ring suburbs and stuff. There's like a couple areas of Richfield and stuff that I want to show on here, just to, I don't know, I do so many videos in downtown Minneapolis, which I think is super appealing, and I love downtown Minneapolis, but I think to give the feel for Minnesota and the area, like those areas are relevant too, but like it's kind of sprawled and harder to I don't know, there's so much walking between places. Maybe I'll get like a scooter, like a Lime scooter, and ride around or something. I don't know. Says that she wouldn't be walking alone as a woman at night in the quarry. And yeah, I mean, unfortunate that people are made to feel that way in these spaces now, but hopefully we can see a change in the future and get a city where, I guess, create a city where women can feel comfortable walking alone at night without having to be afraid. It's super sad. So here's that Maine Cinema. see Dune Part 2. This is St. Anthony, Maine. They looks like a ghost town like much of the rest of the city does at the moment, but it is what, 10:30, 11 a.m. Oh, 11:10. I have got to get back to work. Holy cow. It is 11 a.m. and a lot of these spots are more popular on weekends and for brunch. That one's closed. I think more rental type places, but trust me, it's better than it looks around here, all right? It's not that it doesn't look cute, because obviously this is a historic, adorable area, but there are people that come here sometimes. It's just, they're just not here now. They're out of frame, okay? You're gonna have to trust me. But I think after about, it's been a little over an hour, I am gonna go ahead and get back to work, finish up my work day. Hopefully we can get some nice snow in this weekend. And if we get some heavy snow and I have some free time, I'll try to get outside and get a video during that. Otherwise, a lot of stuff I want to do here in the future. So thank you all for watching today. Hopefully I'll see you all again on another video. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Until next time, take care. Thank you.